The Orville, Season 2, Episode 6, A Happy Refrain. One of my favorite aspects of the Orville has been its attention to character pieces and the way it gives specific episodes to focus on either a character or a small set of characters while including everyone within that narrative. There really is a great focus on just a select group of characters in each episode that I think really breathes life into them in a fantastic way, and I think that is really the strength of the Orville, is definitely its characters and the way it portrays its relationships. I think that is handled very well in general. My favorite over the course of the series so far, starting towards the beginning of Season 1, has been Isaac and Dr. Claire. Dr. Claire is overall my favorite character, and both Amanda and I have really enjoyed the way they've handled Isaac so far too. So we've been very interested in how that has grown and his relationship with her two boys, and there have been many episodes leading up to this point, which I think as a viewer you saw as an eventuality with Claire falling in love with Isaac. I think that it was really handled well as a step-by-step thing over a broader period of time, rather than after that shuttle crash forcing that relationship within that first season, an episode or two later. They gave it a little more breathing room and let it develop a little more naturally, and really brought to question whether or not these feelings are being projected onto Isaac, and whether or not Claire really has these, whether Isaac is capable of reciprocating, because it seems that the obvious answer is he can't, so don't pursue this. But I really like how it was handled within this episode, and it definitely took a twist at the end that I was not expecting. It started off being exactly how I thought it was going to pan out, beat for beat, with Claire going through the thought process of looking back on their relationship and how he has been integrated into her family and how that structure has happened, and really processing these feelings, and of course going to Kelly and Tala and trying to sort these out, having sort of like girl talk moments and realizing the insanity of it, but maybe taking that step and really seeing where could this go, even though it seems impossible. Perhaps this slight possibility that could exist, maybe the impossible could happen, and things could work just in a non-traditional way. And I like how that has gone forward. I like how they did the dates, and of course you had then the obvious, Isaac really can't have this emotional attachment in the sense that we would think of. Later on you see a different take on that with the changes in his programming, as he has actually become so accustomed to her presence and how he interprets his function within this ship full of biological units. She becomes essential to that, and in a way it's almost like a weird feeling of love in a different sense. But overall it goes through, of course, he sees it in the beginning more of a learning experience, as an experiment, and just as things seem to ramp up to the point where the relationship could possibly happen, this insane thing between woman and machine could actually work, he abruptly ends it because he has the information he needs, and he went about things in his own very mechanical, analytical way with the dates and everything, and downloading everything about her past instead of understanding the experience and the excitement of learning about each other from nothing. And the breakup, and Claire has obviously the reaction that you would expect, but that's kind of where I thought it would leave off, and then it would go through a very strained relationship with them for the rest of the season, and ending up on just friendship towards the end of the season. I really thought that's kind of the direction they were going to take, and then towards the end it really took a turn to where there was a greater attempt at understanding from Isaac to really more comprehend the reality of the situation and realize that he really hadn't completed the experiment in a way. There was a step to relationships that he had not really gathered information about, and how he has changed in some ways with the integration of his life aboard the ship, and how she has in particular really become in a way a part of him, a part of the way his programming has restructured itself. And I do think that is sort of the beginnings of some internal changes that I think that they will expand upon in the future, and perhaps he will not fully have full emotions, but I feel like there will be some change that becomes permanent within him, to where he becomes more able to relate on a somewhat like emotional level, if not true emotion, to where this could be an interesting thing moving forward. And I actually just love the way that this played out. And I think what really sold the entire thing was Penny Johnson Gerald and Mark Jackson. The two of them, if either of them had faltered with their performance in this episode, it wouldn't have worked. But they both really hit everything perfectly. It was such a fun and emotional ride, and everything about it was just so perfect. This is one of those examples of great use of music, which I really give a lot of credit to Seth MacFarlane in particular for the choices musically, and the way it's handled in certain episodes has been really great. But here, I mean, this episode had me singing in the rain. It really was just fantastic. Everything from the concert in the shuttle bay, which was a beautiful moment. I really loved that musically, visually, and we got a lot of great character moments throughout the whole thing, and then ending up with the singing in the rain on the bridge, which was a bit ridiculous, but at the same time it had that sappy romantic quality that it was kind of was going for. It was supposed to be a little bit absurd, but to give you this kind of sappy romantic ending that just kind of fit. And overall, I just found this to be a fascinating episode, and I love the way they tackled this subject. I knew this episode was coming as this relationship was building. I thought that this episode is coming sooner rather than later. It just didn't. It went through the pattern I thought it was going to, and I was not expecting on the other end that this would be something that would be continuing. It really, that part took me by surprise. The ending moments there and how they took it through. And there were some good humorous moments with Bortus growing his mustache, and you had Isaac trying to seek out first relationship advice and then breakup advice that ended up just being some pretty funny scenarios. But overall, it was just endearing. I think that's the one word, if I had to pick one word to describe this episode, it would either be endearing or charming. I just really enjoyed every moment of it. It was one of those experiences where you sit down for just shy of an hour and just fall in love with what's happening on screen, just having a good time and being invested in these characters. And this was just the perfect character piece episode for me. I enjoyed every moment of it from beginning to end, and again, I think this is one of the best uses of music in the series as well. I love the way they handled everything. It was just a great balance in every respect, and everyone did such a fantastic job. I loved even some of the moments during their dates, especially their first date, flipping over the table and things like that. And then seeing Isaac, obviously the actor underneath, in human form within the simulator at the end, and really trying to make that extra effort to try and determine how could we make this actually function as a relationship, and doing those extra little things. I think it really turned out fantastically. And having seen it a little while ago at this point, have finally being able to sit down and do some of these reviews, catch up here, I really think, looking back on it, this might be my current favorite, not just in the season but in the series. It's one of those that on its own, without having those build-up moments up to this point, it wouldn't be a standalone episode, but as a building point to this relationship and how the series has been progressing and the direction that it's taking, I think this is just brilliant from beginning to end. I absolutely loved this episode.